Warning: this game shows scenes that some may find disturbing and triggering. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play the Letter. Moments later, Miss McCullough returns, looking a little frustrated, but an apology clear in her face. I feel a little sorry for her having to go through all this trouble.
There seems to have been a little misunderstanding with my client. If you'll allow it, I'd like to stay and wait for them here. I was informed they'll be dropping by for the open house today. I figured it'd be a waste to just leave after that long drive. I might as well meet him here.
Certainly. You could stay at the parlor in the meantime, ma'am. I'm sure it won't be long before our guests arrive. And, Isabella, I left a few documents in my car. You know where I keep those. Can you please get it for me?
Rose takes a glance at her wristwatch before tossing me a set of keys.
And hurry! We've still got a few minutes to double check those papers.
Okay, got it. Give me a few minutes.
The two of them disappear behind the parlor's door. Their departure brings it with a hushed stillness to keep me company, neither comforting nor soothing. This alone, it's impossible not to think of what truly happened earlier. I wish the memory isn't as elusive as it normally is. Then again, Rose already said she didn't receive any call from me. Was it just my paranoia at work? A temporary lapse in my own mind after having heard all those tales about this place? Probably. I want to think of it as such. Better to think of it as such, so I can work in peace. Except, a small part of my mind begs to differ, and if I am going to be completely honest with myself, I want nothing more than to leave this place as soon as possible. I don't know what's in this house, and I don't want to know. The keys Rose have just handed me dig in my palm, its jagged edges creating shallow ridges on my skin from how hard I am clutching it. It's a cursory reminder of what I still need to do and why I've taken this job in the first place. Hugging my blazer closer to my body, I exit the house to get what Rose has asked of me. Just a few more hours, Isabella. Sell the house, get the money. Whew. Oh, I am so sorry. Once again, I forgot the timer. I will get better at this, I promise. Okay. Clock. Stopwatch. Alright. A flock of people have already gathered in the mansion's front yard by the time we officially open the doors. I'm not sure whether I should feel baffled or underdressed, standing in their presence. Men and women of wealth and status, all dressed to the nines in fancy suits and lovely dresses of varying colors, compose the medium-sized crowd. Their necks, arms, and fingers are adorned with silver and gold, glinting in the afternoon sun. Some even have ridiculously fancied feathered hats on their heads. I really hope there aren't any magpies living nearby like in the stories. Those birds will have a field day in this. They are murmuring among themselves, looking at the estate's facade appraisingly, with some arguing about whose mansion has the superior architecture. But most of it stops as Rose calls for their attention. They don't look too pleased at being ordered around, but what can they do about it?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We'll be taking a tour of the mansion in 2 groups. Please make sure you filled up our sign-in forms before joining a specific group.
Those who want to look around the first floor, please follow my partner. I'll be guiding the ones who wish to see the ground floor.
Hearing this, a few wander towards me. They are mostly old ladies who seem daunted at the idea of climbing all those stairs. Miss McCullough also joins our group, but what really catches my eye is the elegantly dressed pair as she approaches.
It's so nice to finally meet you!
when Chief Inspector Lee mentioned that a famous interior designer is in town. I knew I had to get you.
Your confidence in my skills is very flattering, ma'am.
I'm sure you won't disappoint, Marianne.
Ooh, his voice. Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Oh, you know each other?
Not at all, ma'am.
You mentioned something about a Marianne on our way here, darling?
Oh, yes, I think I did.
They must be the clients she was talking about. I might have seen their faces somewhere before. Some magazine? Or the television? I can't quite remember. But then again, most of our guests have likely ended up on the news one way or another. I won't be surprised if these two have also. For people who are popular, though, they aren't dressed as loudly as the others, and in their simplicity, the couple stands out. The woman in particular is stunning enough to turn the heads of most people in my group, especially the men with wandering eyes. The guy standing beside her doesn't seem to mind, though. And if I'm going to be a bit bolder with my assumptions, I'll say he's basking in the attention. Both of them, in fact, peas in a pod. I'll think they are brother and sister if it isn't for their public display of affection. The matching rings on their fingers just cement the fact that they are, indeed, a couple. I can't read that part. Let's see. What does it say? Whatever. Couple or not, what's important is we get this deal closed before the current owners can even think of canceling the listing agreement. I just hope one of the people in my or Rose's group is brave enough and generous enough to buy this mansion. And so, with papers in hand, I lead the way. When they aren't whispering among themselves or going ooh and ah over one thing or another, they ask questions. From how the restoration process went to the history of the place, I answer them all. More than happy to talk about the art pieces and architecture mostly. However, I am careful not to mention anything about the urban legend. Not a good material for sales talk, even if the entire population of Luxborn knows about it.
Some of the furnishings here are actually the 17th century originals, all of which have undergone a painstaking restoration process just to return its original beauty.
Even the glass thing. Colorful ones. Oh, I don't know, but you get the idea, I hope.
Especially that one, ma'am. It is said to be a gift commissioned by the fiancé of Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. The mansion's current owners have specifically requested that the restoration crew take great care in handling it. It's a priceless work of art and the most distinctive feature of the mansion.
By the time I've stopped talking, her attention is already elsewhere.
Isn't this place wonderful, darling? I told you it's not a total waste of your time.
I don't know. Isn't it a bit too small? We might have to break a wall down to have more room.
Too small. Dude, please. This mansion is huge.
Well, I think it is just right. Don't you think so, Marianne?
It is splendid, ma'am. But isn't it a little too early to make plans when no deal has been signed yet?
Never mind that. It isn't going to be a problem. We've got a wonderful legal team to handle everything. Start taking notes, though. I think I've got a few things I want changed before we move in.
Oh my gosh. The rest of their conversation gets lost in the chatter of other companions. I don't want to make any assumptions yet, but their sheer interest is enough to give me some semblance of hope. Oh, please, please, please let these guys be the one. Eventually, our group reaches the kitchen. Much like the rest of the house, a great deal of effort has been put into retaining the room's classical appeal. The open hearth at the end of the room in particular looks amazing, like the ones I only see in fairy tale books before, And mad props to the cleaning crew. Seriously, after overhearing hundreds of their complaints about the soot and tar staining the bricks, and how much of a pain in the arse cleaning this will be, they still managed to pull this off. Or make it look presentable at least.
The highlight of the room, however, is what's underneath this hatch here.
Oh my gosh, what's underneath the hatch?
Oh, don't say anything yet. An underground wine cellar.
He's on top of everything. This is the first time the guy in gray speaks up. Mr. Luke Wright, my memory supplies from the forms they signed earlier. His sudden attentiveness catches me off guard. Since the start of the tour, only his wife has shown any form of genuine interest in the place. What is he, an alcoholic? But this time, something lights up in his eyes at the mention of the Undercroft. What's so interesting about a basement? I really don't understand rich people sometimes. Right now, he just gives me the impression of a child who has just seen what he absolutely wants for Christmas. I've always found it cute whenever I see children act that way. My younger siblings especially. He's not a child though, he's an adult, so that's a little sad. On a grown man though? It's almost funny.
Yes, sir. It could house around 7,000 to 11,000 bottles of wine.
How does she even know the number of bottles of wine it can house? What the heck?
Truly. And the room, how was it built?
The bricks that were used to build the cellar have been carefully picked for the purpose of maintaining and preserving a constant temperature and humidity in the room.
Wow, she really knows what to say.
It's a good place to keep your private collection in if you have one, sir.
It keeps the corks in good condition.
Oh, love. Didn't you say before that you wanted to make your own personal vineyard? Perhaps you could start one here.
You know we're going to need space for that, darling.
And this isn't big enough?
If it's space you're worried about, sir, the Ermengarde mansion sits on a 46-acre lot. There's plenty of room for it.
46 acres, Jesus.
We were told that the original owners had a horse stable built here before, too.
Wow. There's a contemplative expression on Mr. Wright's face, but he doesn't say anything further. His wife, however, seems very pleased that he has started to show interest, if only a little. I smile to myself. I may not completely understand how these people's minds work, but I sure as hell know how to spot a buyer with sincere interest. Score! I can't wait to tell Rose. The rest of the tour goes by without a hitch. After more than half an hour, we're able to cover almost every room in the ground floor and are heading to the parlor. Funny, the first time we surveyed the property, I kept complaining to Rose about how big it is. Now, I can't even bring myself to care, no matter how much my feet hurt. Maybe this is just my excitement over a prospective sale. Who knows? Gosh, the art is so pretty. Oh, the music though, that's bad. When we reach the parlor, however, an odd feeling washes over me. It starts off as small goosebumps on my skin, a feeling of being watched intently. Whispers in my ear and shadows dancing, lurking in the corners of my vision. Dark silhouettes that are gone when I turn to see what it is. A chill that settles down my spine, making me feel sick, and I start to break into a cold sweat. I can't do this. I need to sit down for a moment. The old ladies in the group have been requesting for a break anyway. If I can just...
Excuse me, everyone? We will be taking a 15-minute rest here before we visit the first floor. In the meantime, please help yourselves to the refreshments and snacks we prepared. If anyone has any questions, feel free to approach me. I'd be happy to help you.
I let them sit while I retreat to a quiet corner to recover. It's not what you think. Don't think about it. It's not what you think. I've probably just caught Becca's cold. Don't think about it. I'm left alone for a good while, the same words spilling out of my lips in a silent prayer, until a hand taps my shoulder.
Hello, you there?
I'm wheezing. Yes, Madam Wright?
Yes, ma'am?
Oh, look at you! Having to show a group around a mansion this big must be exhausting.
Not a problem, ma'am. I'm just doing my job.
What a hard worker! Anyway, Isabel, right?
Isabella, actually. But yes, what can I help you with, ma'am, Wright?
Please, just Hannah. Call me Hannah. I just wanted to ask, how soon are we able to move in?
My brain completely stops. The sick feeling plaguing me is suddenly gone, replaced by utter bewilderment. Is she being serious? She looks at me expectantly as I struggle to come up with an answer.
Wait, ma'am, you see, but we haven't even negotiated a price yet, ma'am. We haven't even finished touring the rest of the mansion. A sale would be great and all, but...
She stops me from speaking any further, putting a hand on my shoulder. For a moment, with her tight smile, she looks as if she has tasted a particularly sour lemon.
Oh, please, sweetie, don't insult me. Money is not a problem. And, just between you and me, this place is better off with us than with some old lady who will probably just fill it up with cats.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with having cats here, ma'am Hannah. I'm sure there's more than enough space here if you want pets.
Perhaps I'm still not feeling well, but really, what's wrong with cats? I agree, I love cats so much. More importantly, why is she talking about moving in already?
Well, I'm more of a dog person. But you see, this is going to be a gift to my darling. It's going to be our anniversary soon.
You're buying him a mansion as a gift? Okay. Alright, lady. Okay. Alright.
And it would be so wonderful if you can secure its purchase for us. Why, I can even offer something extra if you help us out with the paperwork.
We actually have a process for this, ma'am. I don't really think that would be necessary or appropriate.
Isabella's so, proper.
And just what are you two lovely ladies talking about here? Leaving me and our lovely interior designer to talk here by ourselves.
Oh my god, Luke's voice is so creepy.
What would the people think, darling?
Oh, it's just small talk, love. I was asking if she could help me with the paperwork.
I struggle not to wince when her nails dig into my shoulder. I can't help but send an imploring look at Miss McCullough, who only gives me an apologetic smile and shrug.
Yeah, I can give you a fact sheet and a form to fill out.
She wastes no time in taking the papers from my hand and shuffles through the bunch. Ah, man, Rose is gonna be so angry at me for letting her do that.
Wonderful. And Marianne, I'd really love to talk to you about those changes. You took some notes earlier, yes?
I did, Mom. But I really hope that this time...
Excellent. Hopefully you can help us out too, Isabel.
Isabella.
Right. It's a lovely name, Isabel.
Okay then, Hannah. Okay then, Haley.
It's Isabella.
Yes, that's great. We'll be more than happy to put in a good word to your superiors too, and... What's this?
A look of confusion and disgust is apparent on her face. Turning to her husband, he merely shrugs in reply.
That's, an interesting work of art. Not to my taste, though. I'm sorry.
What is that?
Darling, Buttercup, art is a complete overstatement for this garbage. It looks like a cheap prop from a D-list horror film.
A D-list horror film.
Shush, love. Let the girl do what she pleases with, what do they call this? Oh, forget about it. At the very least, it's not as dreadful as the one art exhibit I was forced to attend last month. You should have seen it, Marianne. Even you would have been appalled. But I'm sure you'll know what to do with our walls once we get started.
I highly doubt it is as bad as you say, ma'am. Nevertheless, you can be assured that my team will only pick whatever suits your tastes. Nothing of this chain letter sort, of course. It has to always work with a palette.
I'm quite sure chain letters these days don't come in this form.
It's my turn to be puzzled. What do they mean? Rose and I double-checked everything earlier. Are the papers I handed not enough? I want to ask what I did wrong. I don't want to mess this up. But with the way Ma'am Hannah is leading the conversation, I'm afraid that's exactly what will happen if I do interrupt her.
That's good to hear. See, darling, isn't she an absolute delight to work with? I can't wait to see how this place will look when she's done with it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that, Buttercup.
A smile is back on her lips when she turns to me and hands me a strange piece of paper.
I would still put it away if I were you, though. Otherwise, people might get the wrong impression. Anyway, as I was saying...
I don't hear the rest of what she says after that. I can only stare down at the paper, at the letter in my hands. The sides crinkle in my grip and my breathing grows labored. Dread quickly fills my mind.
Isabella? Isabella? Are you alright? You're looking pale.
I don't even notice when Rose, as well as the other group touring the mansion, joins us in the parlor. I want nothing more than to say that, no, I'm not alright. I want to leave this place, because I remember everything as clear as day. This letter and that woman in the attic, it's real.
The letter. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Careless. I've been so careless. How do I even tell them that without looking like I've gone mad? Should I even tell them? Should we show Rose the letter or not?